We hold Jehovah God in the very highest esteem. That is what has brought us here. So we are eager to learn how this convention program has been designed to help us give God the glory that he deserves. Please pay close attention to the opening talk. It is entitled, Assembled to Glorify God. Brother Robert Milovsky, who is serving as chairman for this convention program, is our speaker. Brother Milovsky, you have our undivided attention.
Welcome. A very warm welcome to everyone in the audience today. You made it. You're here for the first song and the first prayer and now the very first talk. The theme for this convention is Give God Glory. Brothers and sisters, is that the way all of you feel? To glorify God is an exalted and noble reason for us to assemble together. And the effort that you've made to be here today is proof that you want to learn how to glorify God in every facet of your life. Have you ever tried to envision Jehovah's glorious presence? You know, there are a few scriptures that give us a glimpse. We learn that Jehovah's person is so bright, human eyes could not survive the experience of seeing it. Think of the gleaming glory of one of his angelic sons. Moses spent just 40 days with one of these heavenly angels, and when he came down off the mountain, his face was so bright, people couldn't look at him. That's heavenly glory. Is Jehovah's glory seen here on the earth? Well, our planet is described as a footstool for God's heavenly throne. And when it was first created, the angels who had seen many glorious creations before couldn't help but shout in applause at this unique, one-of-a-kind jewel in the universe. But look at the condition of his precious footstool today. It is covered with the grime of disbelief and violence and war and hatred. And that's why there's never been a more challenging time and really a more urgent need than to give God the glory he deserves. And maybe you agree, and you're wondering how. Well, let's start from the beginning. What does the word glory mean? It comes from a Hebrew word meaning heavy. How appropriate. What is heavier, weightier, more impressive than Jehovah? And for us, what is the heaviest, most valuable thing in our life? It's our relationship with God. So how can we personally give God glory? There are three ways: our worship, our praise, and our thanksgiving. Now, each of these is defined in the book of Psalms. Please open your Bibles to that book. And I think you'll agree that the scriptures that we're now viewing vibrate with life. This is in Psalm 95. Psalm 95, and let's read verse 6. Oh, come in. Let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before Jehovah our Maker. Worship is the highest form of adoration we can give to God. Now, when times get bad, people drop to their knees. But what are they praying for? Are they praying to God for him to do their will? How many of them even know what God's will is? So, does being on one's knees mean that a person is worshiping God? See, the word worship in Hebrew literally means to serve. So the person who humbly bows before God is saying, I want to serve you. They are saying that I unreservedly surrender the doing of my will to do your will. Please understand, this is not simply a matter of suppressing our personal desires and then acquiescing to the desires of God. No, it's more than that. It's molding our heart to make our desires the same as Jehovah's. And that brings glory to God, because it shows that He is by choice, our choice, the heaviest and most important thing in our life. And why? Because we love Him. And more than anything else, we want to feel the same way that He does. That's worship. The second way we bring God glory is through praise. That makes sense. See how this is expressed in Psalm 111. And we're going to read the very first verse. It says, "Praise Jah, you people. I shall laud Jehovah with all my heart." But it's interesting, aside from doing it in his heart, notice where else he does it. Let's read on. It says, "In the intimate group of upright ones and the assembly." Now, praise, simply defined, are expressions of admiration for God. And we make these expressions personally, but there's nothing to match the experience of being in an assembled group of upright ones who feel just like you do. That's why we've made so many sacrifices to be here in attendance. Has someone ever said to you, you just had to be there? Well, be happy you're here, in the intimate group of upright ones and the assembly. Now, look at verse 2. It says, "The works of Jehovah are great, searched for on the part of all those delighting in them." Some works of Jehovah are right on the surface. They're visible to anybody that looks at them. But some great works of Jehovah are beneath the surface. And under the direction of the governing body, we have 30 brothers. They've been mining through the scriptures and the publications for months to find for us praiseworthy things that we may have never seen before. And if we have seen them before, maybe we have not seen them in the light that will be presented to us at this convention. Be assured, our quality of praise, our expressions of admiration, whether we make them to Jehovah in prayer or whether we're speaking about Jehovah to others, our expressions of praise will be enriched by this program. Now, the third way we can bring honor to God is expressed in Psalm 100, verse 4. Let me read it for you. It simply says, "Come into his gates with thanksgiving." What an interesting combination of two words, thanks and giving. I think it's one of those words whose meanings may elude us. What it's saying is that if you are thankful, you will have something to give in return. Now, a physical man knows how to be thankful for his material blessings. It's not unusual for people to thank God for their home, their health, their family. Some may even thank God for the things that He's created. But do they thank God for the faithful steward, for the kingdom, for His earthly organization? Do they thank God for the strength to give a witness, to endure opposition? How many people in the world thank God for His coming new world? In one translation it says, "Be thankful and say so to Him. Affectionately praise His name." Beautiful. So, if we struggle to count our blessings, and that can happen to us at times, this convention will inspire all of us to say thank you in new and meaningful ways. We will be able to give thanks to Jehovah and be able to give to Jehovah in return things that we weren't able to do prior to this convention. We'll be able to give glory to Jehovah as individuals, as families, and as a united throng. But would you like to take out your programs and look over the menu that's been prepared for us by the faithful steward? you'll see that every day has a theme. Notice the harmonizing theme for today. It's taken from Revelation chapter 4, verse 11. It says, "You are worthy, Jehovah, even our God, to receive the glory." You know who said those words? Those words are the heavenly anointed king priests. And it's a dramatic scripture in Revelation. They were given a lot of glory by Jehovah, but when they're in his presence, when they just look at him in wonderment, they spontaneously took off their crowns, they threw it before the throne, and they said, "Oh, Jehovah, you are the one that's worthy of glory." This day is designed to make us feel the same way as those heavenly anointed king priests. Look at the talk, "Creation Declares the Glory of Jehovah." It's a lively talk on the wonders of creation. And later this morning, we're going to have the keynote address. It is absolutely engaging. It's entitled, "Glorious Prophetic Visions Spur Us On." And the same can be said for the symposium of talks on the prophet Amos. There are 3 talks, they're 20 minutes apiece, and in 1 hour, we're going to get a college education on the prophet Amos. We're going to see how his message is needed for us today. And you don't want to miss the last talk, "The Good Land, Foregleam of Paradise." Now go to Saturday. You'll see that tomorrow has another complementary theme, "Declare among the nations his glory." It's taken from Psalm 96:3. It goes on to say we should declare among all the peoples his wonderful works. Well, that's a very clear commission to preach. It's interesting, Psalm 96 is oftentimes referred to as the coronation psalm because it prophetically gives us a picture of Christ enthroned when Christ was coronated as king. And now we have him sitting on the throne. And Psalm 96 is telling us to go out and talk about it. Some people object to all this preaching. It's not unusual for some people to tell us, even in the ministry, that all you have to do is lead a good life. Well, there's a lot to be said about leading a good life. We're going to be talking about that later. But why, in addition to leading a good life, does God call upon us to verbalize what we know about his name and sovereignty? There are 3 reasons. The visible creation bears witness that there's a creator, but it cannot tell people what his name and purpose is. A second reason, there are miserable conditions on earth today. People at the very least hold God responsible. Those who love Jehovah have to go out and explain to others why he's permitted all this suffering and what he's going to do about it. And finally, the end to evil is coming. But Jehovah would never bring an end if he didn't give a warning and if he didn't give a way for the righteous to escape. So we must bear witness. And Saturday is designed to help us do just that. Look at the symposium for the morning. Reflect like mirrors the glory of Jehovah. You're going to see very practical, easy ways to make known the truth to other people, formally and informally. Is it always easy to talk about the truth? It isn't. And that's why the very next talk is so important. Hated without cause. Of course, on Saturday morning, all of us look forward to the baptism talk, and we'll have the pleasure of seeing new ones declaring their dedication to glorify Jehovah forever. And finally, in the afternoon, give special attention to the 2 talks, Beware of the Voice of Strangers. Doesn't that title intrigue you? It is right from the Bible. You'll be interested to see exactly how it applies to us. And finally, the last talk of the day, Our Children, a Precious Inheritance. There's something very special for all of you young ones in the audience, be sure to be seated with your parents during the last talk on Saturday. On Sunday, the theme is all-inclusive. Do all things for God's glory. It's from the inspired words of Paul at 1 Corinthians 10:31. And he doesn't leave anything out. He says, whether you're eating or drinking or doing anything else, do all things for God's glory. Now, part of the morning on Sunday is dedicated to all of you young ones and to you parents. I think you're going to find the experiences in the discussion, how yous are praising Jehovah, very encouraging. And then we all look forward to the drama on Sunday morning. It's entitled Boldly Witnessing Despite Opposition. The hair on the back of your neck is going to go up. This is a first-century drama. You know, in a way, our dramas are like theocratic time machines. They transport us back to a time when we can visualize what our spiritual grandparents went through in establishing the truth. And you will be there to see it and to be affected by it. Sunday afternoon, the public talk is very timely. Please make special note of it. It's entitled, Who Are Giving God Glory Today? Now, you know that a public talk is geared for new ones. But realistically, many of your return visits and Bible studies won't be able to make it to the Tacoma Dome. So we invite you to take some notes on this public talk. Even though it's for the public, you can take notes on it, so that if your studies and return visits were not able to make it, you'll be able to recap the essence of this discussion for them. And finally, the last talk, Keep Bearing Much Fruit to Jehovah's Praise. It's going to review the highlights of the convention, and we'll be anxious to hear what blessings await us for the future. We can tell you there are some very exciting announcements you won't want to miss. We said in the beginning that the word glory in Hebrew means heavy, but we wanted to clarify. Glorifying God is not adding our weight to Him. Glorifying God means adding weight to God in the eyes of others. Why? Because for so many, He is a small, lightweight part of their lives. He doesn't figure into their decisions or their plans for the future. And naturally, one way that we can add weight to God in the eyes of others is by our preaching and teaching. But what really shows people how we feel is how we act, our conduct, our dress, our grooming. Isn't that true? It's for that reason that the governing body wanted this quote from the August 1st, 2002 Watchtower read. Just going to read to you a small paragraph. Paul indicated that we should dress with modesty and soundness of mind. We all agree with that. This means that our appearance should not be showy, bizarre, provocative, revealing, or faddish. It's not simply a matter of dressing appropriately when attending meetings and then throwing all caution to the wind at other times. Our personal appearance should always reflect a reverent, honorable attitude because we're ministers 24 hours a day. Who could argue with that? Then they make one more point. If our dress always reflects our belief in God, we will never feel obligated to hold back from witnessing informally because of embarrassment over our appearance. It's a point well taken. Jehovah has always had an interest and a say when it comes to dress. The first fashion statement was made by God in the Garden of Eden when He gave Adam and Eve long garments. That was a statement on modesty, and they were the only two people alive. Centuries later, you may remember in Numbers 15, the Israelites were told to have blue string on the fringes of their garments. Why? Was it to let others know who they were? In part. But in Numbers 15:40, it says the purpose is that you may remember who you are, that you may be holy. Now think, is it possible that some Israelites could begin feeling that the blue thread was becoming hopelessly out of date after hundreds and hundreds of years? It was not only possible, it happened. In Zephaniah 1:8, the prophet declared calamity to the princes, to the sons of the king, and to all those wearing foreign attire. Wow. In essence, he was telling the Israelites, if you look like the world, in their case, look like the Assyrians or the Babylonians, I won't recognize you as one of my own. And One Awake took this even further. It said if an Israelite didn't wear the fringe garment when Christ was on the earth, now a style that was over 1,500 years old, it said it was not likely that he would become a disciple. Why? Well, to be a disciple, you had to be a follower. If someone refused the blue fringe, he wasn't a follower, he was a trendsetter. At least at that point in time, not fit to be a disciple. What about today? Could some feel that modest hemlines, modest necklines, modest attire and grooming are also hopelessly out of date? Yes. Now, is there room for variety in style and color? Of course there is. Just look around you. But never at the sacrifice of Christian modesty. Wouldn't you agree? This is the least we can do as we represent the faithful and discreet steward. Children, we'd like to share a few thoughts with you. You're here by invitation. Jehovah did not want you to miss out being here at this convention. He didn't want you to miss out on seeing the drama, hearing the talks that you can learn from, and the fun that you have, being with your parents and eating out and sleeping in a new room, meeting new friends. You aren't going to see a sign at the entrance of the Tacoma Dome that says, "No children allowed." Children are not only allowed, you're welcome. You know why you're welcomed here? Because you can bring glory to Jehovah. A faithful 6-year-old or 16-year-old is far more precious to Jehovah than the mighty angels who left the truth and became unfaithful. So we have an assignment for you. There are going to be long periods of sitting. And we know it won't always be easy for you because it's not always easy for us as adults. But your assignment is during the sessions, sit as quietly as you can. Pray to Jehovah. Say, Jehovah, please help me to learn something that will make me happy and make you happy too. Parents, please remember that children have immense sitting power. They can sit in front of a TV for hours. Tap into that power. So the fine points a child is likely to miss, you'll be able to hear and simplify and explain to them later. Of course, we don't want to leave anyone out when it comes to assignments. There's something else that can apply to all of us. Try to say something about this convention to someone you meet while you're here in Tacoma. Maybe you're thinking, brother, I'm not very good at informal witnessing. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. That's not my strongest suit either. But there's an easy way to get started. Just wear your convention badge. That can create an opportunity to give a little witness. Would you like to see how this might be done? Most of us are going to be eating out. See how this brother ends up giving a witness to the waiter.
So how was your meal, sir?
Everything was just fine, including the service.
Well, thank you. So nice of you to say so.
Have very many people come into the restaurant wearing this badge?
Yes, I've noticed that. What's that all about?
Well, we're enjoying a 3-day convention at the Tacoma Dome, and the theme explores the many ways that we can honor God, just as the Bible encourages. In fact, one way I learned that we can do that is by respectfully using God's personal name. That was new to me. Have you ever come across God's name in the Bible?
No, I don't think I have, unless you're referring to Jesus.
Well, that is the name of God's Son, but at Psalm 83:18, it says that all people would know that you, whose name is Jehovah, are the Most High over all the earth.
Now that you mention it, I have heard of that name before.
There are many more ways to honor God. Why don't you drop in on our public talk? It's at 2 o'clock on Sunday. It's entitled, Who Are Giving God Glory Today? The practical information my family and I have learned from the Bible has been so helpful. I just know you'd enjoy it too.
Hey, you never know. I just may show up.
Thank you, brothers. A genuine compliment goes a long way, doesn't it? Being appreciative and polite means so much to the common working man or woman. And then, did you notice what the brothers said? That was simple, wasn't it? It said the Bible encourages all people to honor God. And one way that I learned to do that was to use his personal name, Jehovah. That's a simple way of incorporating one point that you might have planted in somebody's heart. Now, here's a sister that runs into one of the hotel housekeepers. Can she turn this into an opportunity to give a witness? Let's listen.
Thank you for cleaning our room so nicely. I wanted to give you this tip in appreciation. You must work especially hard during a big convention like ours.
That's true, and oh, thank you. And it makes it a lot easier for me to do my job because you people are so friendly.
Well, that's good. Has anyone invited you over to hear some of our program this weekend? We'd love to have you come.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I have to work all weekend.
Oh, I understand. You know, one reason we enjoy coming to our conventions is we learn so many practical ways that the Bible can help us in our daily lives. If you'd like to learn more about the Bible, when you have a day off, I could send someone to your home to demonstrate a free home Bible study. You see, besides helping us with our daily struggles and stresses, there's a Bible verse in the book of John that says that taking in knowledge of God can lead to everlasting life. I just know you benefit from this information because for me, this knowledge has given me hope for the future as well as comfort and courage for the present. I know you'd enjoy it too.
You know what? That is so sound wonderful to me. Let me give you my name and address.
Thank you, sisters. Well, those were lovely presentations. I'm sure you could pick up a sentence or two that would enable you to give a witness to someone else. Look for ways that you might be able to share the truth, even if this was the first time you did it, even if you did it just one time in the next 3 days, that would be an accomplishment. Of course, we're here in Tacoma to do a lot more listening than we are talking. And Paul's words at Hebrews 2:1 hit home. He said, it is necessary, absolutely essential, indispensable, for us to pay more than the usual attention to the things heard by us. And why? That we may never drift away. Now, listening for all of us takes mental discipline. We don't want our body to be sitting in a seat here at the Tacoma Dome and our minds drifting in another world far away from what the speaker is saying in his talk. So sometimes, right in the middle of a talk, you might have to get tough with yourself. It's as if you're going to say, self, I didn't take time off of work, pack my bags, travel hundreds of miles to sit at this convention and think about that problem, that person, that situation, which I could have spent all my time thinking about back home. I'm here for Jehovah, and He's here for me. Get back to what the speaker is saying. You know, when you talk to yourself that way, that can help us to pay more than the usual attention. When Paul wrote Hebrews 2:1, he may have been thinking of Jesus. Jesus said, pay attention as to how you listen. He that has ears, listen. Listen and get the sense of it. But then there's another unique expression that Luke recalled. It's in Luke 9:44. Would you like to turn to that text with me? Maybe this will be a memorable text for you too. In Luke 9:44, Jesus said, "Give lodgment to these words in your ears." Don't you just love that? Are there things you've heard and have never forgotten? Sure. Words that have guided your life? No doubt. Then you might say those words found lodgment. They found a permanent home in your heart and mind. Well, friends, there are more expressions that are ready to move in. We're going to hear them in over 30 discourses. And if we give them lodgment, we will leave this convention a new and improved version of what we were when we first walked through the doors of this dome. The psalmist summarized it beautifully. He said, "Shout in triumph to God, all you people of the earth. Make melody to the glory of his name. Render his praise glorious." So may all of us, young and old, contribute to that glory with every song and every prayer, with attentive hearts and minds. Yes, may each and every one of us give God glory.
We appreciate that warm welcome. Our anticipation has been heightened for what is in store in this Give God Glory District Convention.